the opportunity to nerd out on each individual posture. So everybody just, no strings attached, no judgment, do some embracing horse. I will do some embracing horse as well. Might know what that is. I will not abandon you, come out of it as needed. Okay, release. So, I'm going to do some embracing horse. I invite you to swarm around me, make observations, ask questions. So as I go through my personal process for checking in for embracing horse, first thing I do is, and it takes a little bit of fidgeting. I mean, we fidget before we get into the posture to hopefully avoid fidgeting too much once we get in. It's a very easy thing to do to kind of skirt around the thigh discomfort, is to constantly kind of twitch and fidget and readjust. So as best you're able, try to resist the urge to do that. I mean, if you need to make an adjustment, make it mindfully, but don't make a habit of like, like I used to do. So first thing I'm doing, I'm checking my feet. Do I feel balanced, rooted? Head Instructor Durkin, I don't know what that feels like. You just have to play with it, and eventually you'll get a sense of what balanced and connected feels. So for me, this is about right for here. Then I check my angle to make sure my outside edges are parallel. And then by standing this way, I automatically need to kind of think about that tuck. It's not extreme. But like if I let my back be swayed, this feels weird, and you can see my hips, they jut forward. So by standing this way, I kind of have to flatten out the curve of my low back. And then when I do that, I drop my shoulders and I think about my head suspended. The next thing I do is I draw an imaginary line, like between here and here, so that I'm already kind of feeling connected here, and I'm telling myself I'm going to feel connected through here. It's just my personal checklist. So then, I have to watch this knee, because this is the knee that wants to come in on me. So I have to really tell myself to round this one out. And then I'm going to sit back. Notice I don't sit forward, I sit back. And then I make sure I have my tuck. Okay, I still have my tuck. Then I circle the arms back, circle the arms forward, and I try to find that balancing point for me at this depth. So I'm folded a little bit, but I'm not over folded. I'm rounded, but I'm not crunching, because if I crunch, then I lose my head suspended. So it's lifting through the back more than it's really hugging a tree. Like, I encourage hugging trees, I do, but for embracing horse, it's a little too much rounding. So it's a lifting through the back, lifting through the head, trying to keep this relaxed, these relaxed, these down. The only thing that's really working is this.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So your circle here.
Yes.
So let's say you're going around when you told somebody to lean forward, they would need to bring their circle up, right? Get it level again, because if they lean forward.
Yes.
Right?
So there's
So when you're asking somebody to lean forward, the circle doesn't go down, it has to stay level.
correct,
Okay.
correct. And the leaning forward is also going to have to, most of the time, coincide
But when I said leaning forward, I'm sorry, I mean, what I meant is hinging at the waist.
Exactly, exactly, and the hinging at the waist should, in most cases, put your hips back a little bit, which will help kind of offset this anyway, because I'm not keeping this here and doing this, so that naturally gives me a little more room by sitting back, so that I don't have to adjust the arms too much. Does that make sense? It's like a,
Yes, yes.
it's an equal opposite
Right.
accordion hinge, yeah.
It drops you down so it invertedly brings
Yes,
you back.
yes, yes. Questions? You want to try some more raising more? Shall we get a question?
Well, sometimes it seems that when I go to sit, my toes raise.
Oh, yeah? Huh. So I think,
And sometimes it seems like if I widen the stance, it doesn't seem so bad, but then it seems like I've got a really wide stance.
that's not terribly wide, that's okay. For your amount of practice with Tai Chi, I wouldn't come around and go, that's too wide, Mrs. Payne, that's okay. Mhm.
All right.
And as for the toes coming up, even though we say outside edges of the feet, like feel the weight in the heel and the outside edges, definitely continue to, and I'm glad you said that, to engage the ball of your foot. So that if this is my foot with really weird long toes, I get it in a short body, but it's here and here. So I'm putting my weight across those 3 points of the foot. So that, because we don't want this to inadvertently happen, which can happen quite easily. So to do that, I think pressure the balls of my feet, with the emphasis being on the outside edges of the heels. Does that make sense? So that it's still, my whole foot is engaged. And if that's happening, it's going to be a lot harder for those toes to rock up. So I would just say check to make sure your whole foot is engaged.
Right. And
All right, embracing horse, do a little more, and I'll come around and make some adjustments.
get them looking at conservation, you can be a tiny bit wider. There you go. Even though you're doing it kind of small because of the frame, a little wider.
Does that feel okay? For you a little bit, kind of. Yes. And then,
Yes,
when it's softened through here, so it's not pinching, but it's straight and rounding across here through here without crimping that shoulder. Does that make sense?
sorry, tell us is like sort of more down, so, yeah, I guess,
So
sorry, there.
there's either some little break in the left, there you go. Like that.
Is it still there? Because I can't tell.
That's okay. And then sit back again on a little bit. Yeah. And then that helps your knees, and now you're not trying to pull it over your toes. Good.
That runs out. Nice for rank one is like, visualize the way going on with the hill and go up.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because I was overstepping.
Overstepping.
And then I couldn't untap that
Right.
part.
I get it.
When he told me to go up, it just kind of.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I see the improvement, it's good, 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 good. This really is one-stop shopping. If you get friendly with embracing horse, it can actually be a little bit of a meditative stance. I know a lot of times it's not. You're like, this hurts, and I'm tucking, and the shoulders, but eventually you can make friends with it. But you've seen me do it. There is embracing horse in every single move of the entire form. So doing embracing horse, you don't have to choose do embracing horse or do Tai Chi. The answer is yes, you're doing it. Whether you do a section or you do embracing horse, it's all there. So just know that, and know that it also is really frustrating sometimes, because it's like you make one set of corrections, and then one of us will come by and make a correction that seems like it's the complete opposite of what we told you before. And it's a new layer of understanding. So as you incorporate one thing, then it'll put another thing out of balance. And then we can correct that. So just, again, try to be comfortable with that. But you said last week, I know, and then this week it's this. That's just part of the process. So that means you're actually getting better at it, not that you're not getting it. Does that make sense? All right, so new life skill, tiger, courageous heart. So the path of self-mastery requires a courageous heart. A courageous heart shows strength. Step this way. In the face of fear. Path of self-mastery requires a courageous heart. A courageous heart shows strength in the face of fear. The path of self-mastery requires a courageous heart. Courageous heart shows strength in the face of fear. Fun impact on that is reach out and then grab. So tiger claws. It's a really pretty gnarly technique. It's grabbing chest or muscle. It's pretty loud, but it's a grabbing after the fact. So you don't. So you grab as you get out there. Versus leopard, which is one finger up, and that's striking. So get your claws out.